You're probably going to start edging. Excuse me, we're trying to do a vlog here. Stone the crows. Hello, and finally the one you've all been waiting for, the full review of the beautiful Bürstner Lyseo M Harmony Line 690G. Now I'm going to do this review in three parts. We're going to start with the exterior, then we're going to do the driving, and then we're going to finish with the interior. So to crack on, we're first of all going to answer the two questions everyone wants to know, which is how much does it cost and what does it weigh? Well, what we have behind us here is a French version of the Lyseo M Harmony line, but what I'm going to talk about is the UK version. So just to clear that up, so in the UK, a model like this, the starting price is £72,000. The time you've added a few options, you may be looking at mid-70s, and then if you want something even bigger like an automatic gearbox, which we'll go into in the driving section of this review, that will then start heading up to £78,000. But the big elephant in the room with this particular motorhome in UK spec is its weight. Now the unladen weight of this motorhome is 3,200 kilos, but the MTPLM is 3,880 kilos. That's right, it is over 3.5 tons. That means that you will need a C1 license to tow it. Oops. Now if you're an old dodger like me, then that's no problem because it's sort of grandfathered into my license. But if you're a young whippersnapper like James, then you may need to sit a C1 license test, because most people now passing their driving tests in the UK can only drive a vehicle up to 3.5 tons, whereas you need a C1 license to drive a vehicle up to 7.5 tons. That's something to be hugely aware of. Interestingly enough, this French specification Bürstner Lyseo M actually has an MTPLM of 3.5 tons, but that's because the French specification is much lighter than the UK version. For one example, they don't have the solar panel fitted as standard, whereas in the UK we do. So the UK version, being a higher spec, has a higher MTPLM and it does break the 3,500 kilo barrier. However, it does give you a payload of 680 kilos, which is phenomenal. So even if you allow 180 kilos for two people, it still gives you 500 kilos for all your kit. So that is really good. As for the rest of the specs, of course, as ever, I will leave a link in the description below to the Bürstner UK website where you can find out all the technical information. But just quickly, length is about 7 meters and the height, as we all remember from the first vlog in this series, is 2.99 meters. So it's quite a high beast. It's on a Mercedes chassis. That's one of the main selling points of this motorhome, and it's got 16-inch alloy wheels. Personally, I think they look just a tiny bit, well, tiny, and maybe 17 inches would have looked a bit better, but either way, they still look uber smart. And then as we have a look around the side of the motorhome, we can see we've got the door, which is not on the UK near side, and UK models it will still be on what we class as the off side. So the door remains on this side of the motorhome. Just something to be aware of if you've got children or animals that may dart out into the road. So that's just something to be aware of. But look at that door, it's 700 millimeters wide. That is terrific. Not only is it useful if, for example, you are a wheelchair user, but also just carrying things in and out the motorhome, trays of washing up, things like that. When you're loading up with the crates at home, it just makes life so much easier. I love that wide door. Naturally, there's an electric step below it, and you've got a light above it and a phenomenal light under the awning. Yes, the awning. The awning comes as standard. Looking further back and you'll see that there's the inlet for the fresh water. Now Bürstner have been quite clever with their calculations here, and they're saying that you have a driving mode with water. So the freshwater capacity is actually 120 kilos, but they're saying that you only have 20 kilos in driving mode. That's basically their cheeky way of knocking 100 kilos off of the unladen weight of the motorhome and giving you an extra 100 kilos of payload. So most of us know that if you want that extra 100 kilos of payload, you just don't carry all the water. But what they've done is they've said, oh, in driving mode you only have 20 litres of water, but the actual capacity of the tank is 120 litres. The wastewater tank is 100 litres, and let me show you something really, really cool, and that takes us into the garage. In the garage you'll notice we have a light on this side, on the door side, and a socket, and then this is the electric drain valve, and that is super cool. There's no scrambling around on your hands and knees opening valves or anything like that. All you do is press the button and out shoots the grey water. And that's all you have to do. So that is brilliant. You'll also notice that the garage has a door on both sides. At the time of filming, I still don't have an idea of the weight that you can put in the garage, so I will put that at the bottom of the screen right now. Now, a great thing about the UK models that are not fitted to this particular motorhome, as I've mentioned, in the UK we will get a 100 watt solar panel, and also, because we all love a Barbie, we're going to get an exterior Gas Bbq point. They come as standard. As we now go around to the other side and we see the Toptronic gas system. Now this is a £290 cost option, and what it is, it's a changeover valve and it's a crash protection system. So you don't have to bother about changing the bottles, it does it automatically. But what's great about it is you can actually leave the gas switched on while you're driving and have the heating going while you're driving, and then if you did come into any bother, it would automatically shut off. So that's a great system. £290 pretty well spent, because who wants to go outside and change gas cylinders when it's pouring hard with rain? As an aside, we've never needed to use the heating while we've been driving, no matter how cold it's got, because the Mercedes cab has kept the actual interior, the whole accommodation, really warm, even while we've been driving. And then secondly, you'll notice there are two 12 kilo gas bottles in here, propane, and in the space of 10 days of really cold use, I have just finished burning through that entire 24 kilos of gas, because there's no mains heating in this van on the French spec. So that's just to let you know, as it's been really cold, I've had the heating on all night, every night, and just to let you know, that has got us through. 12 kilos has lasted about 5 days. So that is the exterior. Now let's wait for James to get back with the washing up, jump into the driving seat and see how it drives. So this is the bit you've all been waiting for. What about the driving? Because obviously the exciting thing about this, which I might have mentioned once or twice already, is that it is a Mercedes. And this is what's really interesting to everybody else. So that means it's got a rear wheel drive, and in its standard guise, the standard engine that you'll get with this motorhome is the 143 bhp version. However, you can do the upgrade. It's a cost option, about £640, to the 163 bhp engine, and that's the one that this particular motorhome has got, that I've been driving for the past week. So obviously I don't know what the 143 bhp version is like, but I can tell you that this, the upgraded 163 version, is spot on. It's no slouch at all. The other upgrade that this vehicle has had is the 7-speed gearbox. That is a far more expensive cost option. I think it's about £3,000, James, isn't it?
£3,110.
£3,110. That's going to be something that a lot of you will be thinking about, is it worth going for? Now, we've driven this van now for, as I say, just over a week, up mountains, on the unfamiliar side of the road. Now I've driven this for a week. All I'm going to say is, if you are considering the automatic box and you think it might make your life a little bit easier, if you were not to go for it, you would regret it, because I have found it to be brilliant. It's made driving far more relaxing, especially on A roads and when you're concentrating on other things. I mean, it is a big van, you know, this is a big vehicle, and you're concentrating on a lot of things. Just to not have to worry about what gear you're in is great, and it makes for a far more relaxing drive. Speaking of relaxing, a lot of people have also been asking about the rear wheel drive that you get with the Mercedes. Now, honestly speaking, I haven't found a huge difference between this and a front wheel drive motorhome. However, there are subtle differences, and I think the biggest difference is with the steering, because your steering wheels are not delivering traction. So your steering wheels are doing one thing, and that's the steering. So you're not having to worry about oversteer, understeer, and it's so smooth. I mean, the power steering is so smooth. And other people will also say, but rear wheel drive, you lose adhesion in the snow. Well, when we've pulled off of a snowy pitch, we had no problems at all with the rear wheel drive. Now, this van has winter tyres on it, and if you're going to do a trip like this, you would need winter tyres. But with the automatic box, no special low gear was needed, and pulling off of a snowy pitch, no problems at all. There's the argument that if you are accelerating, you're putting more weight onto the driving wheels as well, so you are far less inclined to slip the driving wheels if you're accelerating fast. So all in all, I found the rear wheel drive to be positive. I can't say that I would fixate myself on having a rear wheel drive motorhome, but it's been a good thing. Generally, the Mercedes has been a beauty to drive. It's been so comfortable, and I've really enjoyed the driving experience. If you have the money, you have the inclination, you crave that three-pointed star on the grille, and you still can't decide, I think you would really regret not going for a Mercedes. I'm not saying that if I get a motorhome, it's got to be a Mercedes, but I've really enjoyed the Merc. Now, as standard, this Mercedes comes with a lot of acronyms. It comes with ABS, it comes with so what was it, James?
ESP.
ESP, that's the one. I knew what I was talking about, really. Crosswind Assist. Now, we've not really had any bad winds. We've not been driving through any bad winds at all. But there is no denying the fact that this is a high vehicle. As we all know, it's 2.99 metres high, and it's quite slab-sided. You are prone to crosswinds with lorries going past, or if it's a windy day. So I've not really put the Crosswind Assist to the test. However, that is standard fit to the Mercedes, so that's pretty good. As far as the cabin goes, you may notice that I'm blethering away here, and I'm not being interrupted at all by any squeaks or rattles. The furniture is firm, it fits well. Now and again our cups have been rattling around, but that's my fault. But generally, as you can hear, zero squeaks and rattles. Top job, Bürstner. Oh, before I forget, before we just come off the driving experience, the Mercedes has an electric parking brake. Now you may think, what's the point of that? The point of that in a van like this is that you don't need to keep reaching down to the floor to get a handbrake. Your handbrake is here. It's just here. And that is brilliant. You don't have to physically move your body to get to a handbrake that's on the floor. That is really good. However, what's not really good is the sat-nav. Now, you've probably seen my little scrape, or avoidance of scrape, in the first vlog when I picked this motorhome up. Now, I have been assured that the UK versions you can select a truck setting on the sat-nav. I would suggest that when you collect your Bürstner, I'm sure your dealer would do this for you anyway. My argument is that if they do come with a truck setting, why is this not activated during the construction of the motorhome? It's not like the body size is going to change at any time during the life of the vehicle, unless you really do take the roof off and make it a convertible. So the sat-nav, yes, it is apparently, I don't know, check with your local dealer, but Southdowns Motorhomes, the lovely people down at Southdowns, have assured me it does come, the UK version, with a truck sat-nav. What's great about the display is that also you've got a reversing camera. A reversing camera is standard on the Bürstner Lyseo M. With a truck this size, that is absolutely essential, I think. Really, it means you can maneuver this motorhome with confidence. But going back to that sat-nav, we've not really liked it, have we, James? It's really a bit complicated. I mean, you've said some good stuff about the sat-nav.
Well, I can't fathom why, when you're turning, when it's giving you point-by-point directions, it'll basically show you where you need to go, the turn you need to go onto, but it'll also show you about 36 other streets that have no bearing on your route. They just show you them for, well, I don't know why. And that makes the screen look an awful lot more complicated than it needs to be when you're in a vehicle this wide, going down narrow streets in Italian or Swiss or French towns or wherever. So yeah, that's been my confusion with it. But it's a shame because everything else I've loved.
It's a really neat dash, isn't it?
It is nice.
Very nice. Staying with the dash and the sat-nav, really logical, nice touch controls in the steering wheel, so you don't need to look at anything when you're switching between that and your music. Very responsive to the music in my phone and things like that. As I mentioned before in the first vlog, it has USB-C connectors to connect your smart devices, not USB, so that's just something to be aware of. But what I really like too about the dash is, now I've driven some Mercedes cars for tow car, and they've had really, really complicated, unnecessary buttons everywhere, really complicated dashes, something like the inside of the Starship Enterprise. This is lovely. It's clean, it's simple, and everything is just where you think it's going to be, where you're going to need it, with no unnecessary clutter. So I love the dashboard. One other thing I like about the cabin is that, as I mentioned in the first vlog, we have cup holders. Yes, we have cup holders. We don't just have one, we don't just have two, we have six cup holders, which is awesome. And finally, before we leave the driving, and that is cab comfort. These seats are phenomenal, really, really good, very comfortable, and you've got two arms here, really, really good. I would say with the cab, I have got one tiny, weeny, eeny, teeny, weeny little criticism, and that is the seat belt here sometimes gets caught up with the arm of the seat. Now, if you are in a hurry at a French toll booth, and as a lot of you motorhomers will know, the truck one is too high, the car one is too low. You need to get out the door to operate the toll booths, and the seat belt catches this arm and it won't start and all this sort of thing, and it's really stressful. It's a tiny thing, but it's just something to be aware of, that this seat belt gets caught on this arm as you're trying to clip yourself in. I'm afraid, folks, that's the best I can do for criticising the cab. I'll have to try and be a bit more fussy in future. And finally, talking of seat belts, just to confirm that the van has 4 seat belts, 2 in the front and 2 in the back, so you can carry 4 people in the motorhome. And don't forget, of course, you can have the optional roof bed and make it a 4-berth motorhome. I think that would make it quite cramped, wouldn't you, James, to have 4 bodies in this motorhome?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
although with just the 2 of us, I've fallen asleep both here and back there. So
pretty good stuff.
4 marks.
Excellent. All right, lovely. So that just about wraps up the on the road and the driving experience. Before we leave on the road and driving, what about the fuel consumption? On the day we drove up the mountain, the consumption of the motorhome on the mountain roads only was 22 miles per gallon. For mixed driving, that was a combination of mountain roads and motorways, it was 26 miles per gallon. I'm pretty confident that on motorway drives you should expect in excess of 30 miles per gallon. Okay, so finally let's talk about the interior. The electric step. And as we come in, you see, first of all, on the back of the door, you've got a bin. And as I've mentioned, we have a fly screen to the door. And obviously a blind to the door window. It's a one-piece door. And then as you come in on the right-hand side, you'll see this little cocktail cabinet. A couple of wine holders in the bottom. And as I've mentioned in the first look, that these glasses are an option, £110 for this set of magnetic glasses. The thing is, it's a bit eye-wateringly expensive, but oh goodness me, what a party piece. And then you've got a couple of regular glass holders there. So, oh dear, I'm conflicted about that, folks. £110 for 4 glasses. These are unbreakable, the 2 tumblers. But even so, that's a lot of money to spend on something that's a bit of a novelty. As we come in, you see here is the control panel. And this is one of the first criticisms I have, I'm afraid, of this motorhome. These little lights here, they don't look too bad at the moment. They're pretty innocuous, but trust me, at night time, they are too bright and they do illuminate the door area. Not so much a problem if you're sleeping at the back of the motorhome as you all normally would, but if you do go for the optional front bed, then whoever sleeps at the front is going to be quite disturbed by the light from those. So over the cab, beautiful sky roof, shelves, got these pockets here for putting in maps and things. The leather is a little bit supple, so you may just want to put a few thin things in there. Also some more useful shelves here over the driver's seat and the passenger seat. Obviously, being a French spec, this is left-hand drive. UK versions will be right-hand drive. Swivel seats, of course, and they are very comfortable. So now let's talk about the lounge area. And you have this table which you can move around. Let me see if I can move it around. There you go. Pull it in, pull it out. Put it up, pull it down, and this becomes what it's kind of a third berth, but interestingly in the French manual it's called lit de secours, which means emergency bed. And I've made it up, and yeah, you would only use this in an emergency, quite frankly. It is not the most comfortable looking arrangement. It's very short, might be okay for the occasional visiting grandchild, but really if you're going to use the front for sleeping, you would go for the optional drop down bed, but then you'd lose a lot of daylight. I love this cushion here. It just makes it so much more lounge worthy and homely. Now then, as we get to the window here, you see we've got a nice sort of net curtain here. And we have cassette blinds. They're not pleated, but they are cassette blinds. So they're okay. I just think pleated would look nicer, but you can drop down this nice sort of voile and cover up the plain sort of vinyl blind there. Needless to say, the cab has full blinds, Remis blinds all the way round. And then you've got your TV station here. So it's all very good. It's all very good. Secure latches on the cupboards. And they're not soft close, but they are sprung. So all in all, the lounge is quite good for a half dinette. It has been very comfortable, and the lighting is superb because you can have so many permutations on the lighting. There are so many options. Down lights, you can see all the little lights there. They're all independently controlled, so you can basically create any lighting effect that you wish. So that is really good, really good. Now then, as we come round to the kitchen, as I've mentioned before, folks, this is a French specification motorhome. Bienvenue pour les personnes en France. Ici votre cuisine avec la cuisson là-bas avec spark ignition, whatever French for spark ignition is. Obviously though, most folks watching this are interested in the UK spec, and the UK spec has got a 3-burner hob with combi grill and oven below it there. Thank you very much to Southdowns Motorhomes of Portsmouth for sending me a picture of the UK cooker. They are one of 17 dealers who deal with Bürstner in the UK. So if you're in the Portsmouth, the Hampshire area, go and check out Southdowns Motorhomes. Thank you guys. In the UK, we lose this little holder here, and for the French and German people, they have nowhere to hang a tea towel, whereas in the UK, we'll be able to hang a tea towel from the front of the cooker. And anyway, plenty of storage, and the drawers in the kitchen, at least on the French version, are soft closing. Lovely. Obviously you're going to lose some of this storage in the UK for the cooker. Now then, as we turn around here, we have the Truma Combi 6, and in the UK we will have, I've had confirmed, the Truma Combi 6E, which has both gas and electric power, so you will be able to power the hot water and the heating on electricity up to 2 kilowatts as well as gas. We have been snug and toasty on our trip. It's got down to -10, and even though that's a gas only system, it's been really good. Here is the huge fridge freezer that I mentioned in the first look, with, as I said, the shelves I just find a little bit too narrow, but you can stand bottles in the drawer at the bottom. As we come round again, I want to talk about this, which is the beautiful handle to the washroom, and this is kind of epitomizing the quality of the motorhome. Now, as you see, as you open the door, there is no latch that comes out, but when it closes, he says, the latch comes out. So as we go into the washroom, and of course, folks, you know what's coming. Another opportunity for a hello. And over the loo, more storage. Plenty there. But once again, folks, I have the Thetford moan. What is it about Thetford toilets where they just can't seem to get the flush to go all the way round? This one only goes half the way round. I don't know if this is an installation error or whether this is a Thetford problem, but that's the second toilet I've used in the second motorhome in 6 months where the flush only goes half the way round the bowl. Not good enough. But what is good enough is this. Not so much the sexy toilet roll holder in the cupboard. What is marvellous, and I've used it, and folks, this is super. is this pull-out section with the wash basin that reveals a fully lined shower cubicle. Isn't that gorgeous? That is really good. So really, really impressed with that. I have used it, and I think what impresses me even more is the fact that, put that away, if you look at the shower moulding, it is lipped, and that is all the way round, even under the wallboard. Therefore, it's attention to detail like that that gives this motorhome quality and longevity. I get so fed up with seeing badly engineered shower cubicles where as soon as the sealant would fail, you would get ingrace. That is really good in the washroom. Now, the bedroom, when I first slept on this bed, I found it really hard. However, after a few nights, it softened up. And again, I think you'll find, folks, that is the sign of a quality mattress. It takes breaking in, but once you've broken it in, that is going to last for years. And towards the end of the 10 days, I found it super comfortable. And below, we have a wardrobe or a cupboard there. And on the other side, we have a cupboard here. Above that, light switch for the bedroom lights. That's the electronic switch to turn off the gas. And that's a blanking plate. Why is that a blanking plate? Because there is no socket in the bedroom. So if you want to have a shave at this mirror or do your hair, well, or you can just do an analog hello, there's no socket there. But there is a socket in the kitchen, just here. So there's a socket under there, as you can see. That's number one. We've got a second socket for the TV here. That's number two. And then you have a third socket under the table. Can you see it, folks? Down at the end there. However, can you also see there's a huge, big, thick table leg in the way? And there's a seat there, and there's a seat above it. So accessibility to this socket is an issue. However, there are two double USB points, and I'll show you those now. And they are, you've got a double point here, which is down by the front door in the cocktail cabinet. And then we have one other double USB socket up here over James's bed. You don't have a socket here, which again, when you're paying over £70,000 for a motorhome, I really do not expect you to have to ask a dealer to put a USB socket in here and to put a main socket here. I would say that is probably my biggest criticism of this motorhome, along with the bright lights there and the price. I'm not saying it's hugely overpriced. And when you look at the quality of this motorhome, I mean, it exudes quality. The things like the mattresses, the shower tray, and just the general construction. I wouldn't say it's massively overpriced, but at the same time, I would only give it a low average for value for money. You've still got things like a very good and very adequate, very serviceable Truma heating system, but really when you start paying over 70 grand, wouldn't you start really expecting an Aldi system? And then if you want the underfloor heating and the heated seats, the full winter pack, you are looking at well over £1,000 to add that. Although for a trip like this, you would definitely want to add the winter pack because, oh my goodness me, a heated floor would have been so nice. This particular van doesn't have it. So that just about wraps up the interior. Now here's a summary of the outstanding points and some of the less good points about this motorhome. So in summary, what did we love about this motorhome? Well, what I love first and foremost is the quality, absolutely outstanding. The Mercedes chassis, a really comfortable drive, especially over long distances. And then finally, Wohnfühlen, that made up word from Bürstner that's a bit like hygge in Danish. It's a very cosy, comfortable motorhome, great lighting, something you can make very homely. But what's not so great? Well, the price and the weight, both of them are on the heavy side. There is a lack of sockets in the motorhome, especially main sockets, and the light on the control panel, it's too bright and there's no way of dimming it. Okay, so that just about wraps up the review of this beautiful Bürstner Lyseo M Harmony Line 690G. And oh, I've just realised, James, one thing we haven't done is breakages and failures. What has broken, what has failed on this motorhome? Well, when I picked it up, it was absolutely fault-free. There was nothing wrong with it whatsoever. So breakages and failures, James, what's gone wrong?
My little toe, nearly, when we were snowboarding.
No, motorhome, James. What went wrong with the motorhome? Here's a picture of Dougal. Okay, so yeah, we had to pad that out because nothing, absolutely nothing has gone wrong with this motorhome. Nothing's fallen off, nothing's failed, and I never thought I was ever gonna get a vehicle that had absolutely nothing wrong with it. So absolute top marks to Bürstner for providing a vehicle that was fault-free and has remained fault-free for 10 days while we've been using it through a variety of conditions. So it's pretty obvious actually to see with the price of it that actually a lot of that money has gone on the quality rather than just on an impressive spec list full of toys and gizmos. So all in all, absolutely brilliant. So that just about wraps it up from us. James is heading back tonight to the UK and I'm heading back tomorrow. Got to give the motorhome back. One more vlog to come in this series where we went into Strasbourg today, so we'll take you into Strasbourg and I'll also show you around the campsite here at Camping Strasbourg. But for now, for this review, that just about wraps it up. A huge thank you to Bürstner UK for sponsoring this vlog without interfering with or influencing the content. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do, folks. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't already. It just leaves me to say, from James and from me, thanks for tuning in. Oh, he's getting the hang of it finally. Hurrah.
Only took 3 trips, eh?
Only took 3 trips.